Hi and welcome to my channel, and welcome to an episode that's going to be all about my new 5.4 MPP micro technical and the first photograph I've taken with it and the first few photographs I've developed with my new Stearman press tank, and some stories about large format lenses and what can go wrong with them, as I've found. So let's dig right in. My MPP, which I've had for a few weeks now. Oh yes, before we go any further, I must just explain why I look like I've done several rounds of heavyweight boxing. It's because I tried an unsuccessful overtaking manoeuvre whilst walking on a crowded pavement and ended up by kissing the tarmac and dinging my nose and dinging my head and dinging my knee and just generally dinging. There was claret, and yeah, end of story, and I'm healing. But nothing to do with photography. I haven't head-butted a camera or anything like that. God forbid. So, anyway, had the 5.4 for a few weeks now, 2 or 3 weeks, and got it with a Xenon 135mm lens and a Angle 90mm wide angle. Unfortunately, before I got a chance to go out and take any pictures with it, I tried the shutter a few times on the Xenon and it died big style. I mean, shutter speeds were a bit slow anyway, and the shutter locked up, everything's dead on it. I will eventually get round to trying to repair it or sending it off to someone to repair. But for the moment I wanted to get on, I wanted to take some photographs, not just wide angle stuff with the Angulon. So I thought I'd try something different and something that you people might be interested in. There are a lot of nice eBay second-hand deals from Japanese sellers. And some of them look pretty much too good to be true. Very, very nice gear at very attractive prices, admittedly with delivery and tax and all kinds of things. But I thought I'd try this for my own benefit and for yours as well. So I ordered a 150mm Fujinon W f5.6. And it's described as being mint condition, and this is the story of getting that, taking my first photograph with the 5.4 and developing them. So first of all, the lens. What can I say? Blown away by the service. I ordered the lens, 4 days later it was with me. It was described as being mint, and I can't find a single mark on it. It looks like new. Shutter speeds are all working fine, and this was for around £135, and that included delivery. Blown away by it. It's a beautiful, beautiful lens. And I'm really looking forward to using it. No, I've used it once, I'll get on to that. The poor Xenon I will get around to doing something with soon. I'm probably going to try and buy an older shutter for it. But anyway, that's for another day. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some footage of me going out and taking my first photograph. I'll show you the first photograph I took, and yes, there were meant to be more than just one, but what actually ended up by happening was just one successful photograph happened. I'm an experienced photographer. I mean, I've made my living from it for quite a few years, but I've never used 5x4 cameras before, and I don't think anything quite prepared me for what a learning curve it is. Well, I'll show you some footage, and then I'll show you what I got, and then we'll talk about that. Okay, well, you see quite a bit of walking about in that piece of film. Um, I loaded 2 double dark slides, which I found incredibly difficult. Yeah, I am a complete beginner at 5.4. But I made the mistake of putting the film box in the changing bag along with all the double dark slides I wanted to load. So it was really crowded and hot in the changing bag. And I was fumbling with film sheets, and it really wasn't good. It wasn't pretty. I could see it, but it wasn't pretty. So to cut a long story short, I put a few marks on the film even before it turns out, I actually shot it. So I got to the woods. There was nowhere to park. The world and his wife were out. It's locked down, but no one was locked down. So I found a quiet place, or reasonably quiet, and the very first shot, I opened up the shutter, I focused. It was very, very difficult because I actually had just a piece of ordinary cloth over my head, which wasn't sealed down to the light very well. I now have a proper dark cloth, but to cut a long story short, I opened up, I focused, I closed down to the correct aperture for the photograph, I whipped out the double dark slide and realised that I hadn't closed the shutter. So the film was just exposed, and that was it, without taking a proper shutter speed. So first chunk of film ruined. Went on. The second shot I took is the one that I'll show you. The last shots, I don't know what happened. I messed up with what I'd shot and what I hadn't, and I double exposed one sheet and I didn't expose the other sheet at all. Yeah, not the greatest triumph, I have to say. But I did find out quite a few things by doing that. One, I found out that the Fuji lens was absolutely lovely to use. The other I found out was that moving around with a 5x4 camera and a huge tripod in tufty, grassy conditions with lots of wet leaves underfoot is a good recipe for falling on one's arse. And the other thing I found was that my trainers leaked. So, after finding all that out, I brought home film and I thought, well, I've probably got one good exposure. So I decided to test the Stearman press tank. Now, these, I have to say, I had some reservations. This is a plastic developing tank, and I have several plastic developing tanks, Patterson, AP. They usually cost £30 or £40. at the most. This little beastie is £102 online. That's a lot of money for a plastic developing tank, and it's not super high quality plastic. I mean, it's okay. The outside is quite high quality, but the internal baffles, they're very almost polystyrene plasticky. Now, you know, I'm more than happy that a tank like this exists, because it's very easy to use by comparison to dish developing or anything like that, any other options that exist for 5.4. But it's definitely not of the easiest. These in particular are extraordinarily difficult to load with film in in a cloth bag. It's not easy, particularly it's not easy without damaging the film in the process. And I found that firstly, with this tank, and I do have some criticisms of it, you're meant to be able to put these in each side, so that's 2 sheets on each. Now, it's really easy, and you saw me nearly do it there, to get one of these and put it in sideways. So it's actually taking up 2 of the slots, and then you can't get the other one in, it will just jam. And trying to sort that out in a changing bag is very, very difficult. I'm looking at ways that I can solve it myself. Some sort of blanking plate for one side, but that's not brilliant. The other issue is that getting hold of the film to take it out when it's wet. I actually managed to mark the surface of the film. Aside from that, the tank is really economical on chemicals. It does exactly what it says. You put the chemicals into it. You have your fill drain and your vent hole. You pour your chemicals in, the air comes out of there, you put the covers on, you squeeze it slightly before you put the second cover on, and then it just simply does not leak. It leaks less than a 35mm tank, and then you just turn it like that for your agitation. Absolutely brilliant. My one has got a moulding sprue on the base, or little scrap left from moulding, and so it really doesn't want to sit upright very well at all. And of course the base is narrow anyway, so put it in the sink, it immediately fell over, and stand it up and it fell over the other way. So I had to kind of hold it the whole time, prop things up against it when it was film washing. I'm going to make some form of cradle for the tank, but these are probably things that should have been thought about. And by job now, I'm an engineer, so I look at it and think, yeah, a lot of what's been done with this is extraordinarily good, but there are some things about it that just are not so brilliant. Anyway, the Stearman tank is one of the few ways that you can economically develop 5.4. So just for that, it's worth it, but it's probably could do with a little bit of development. I would look to Stearman and say, do you fancy making a Mark II that addresses some of the issues about being able to put the negative carriers in crossways, or the thing falling over so easily. Aside from that, £102. It's expensive, but I can understand it. It's a limited appeal item. So yeah, we have the first image from the 5.4, which not all of an image. It's actually a heavy crop because I couldn't see, the focusing screen was so dim that my focusing cloth was so poorly sealed that I missed a branch coming in on one side, and so I've cropped the branch out, and so it's not a full 5/4. But I'm pleased with it, and I'm learning, and I hope my experiences will be a good thing to help you learn as well. So if you've enjoyed this, give us a like. If you really enjoyed it, well, subscribe to it, you never know. I'll have some more interesting stuff for you next time. Alright, take care, bye.